Hey guys, welcome back. This is Justin here with Hardware IO, and today we're going to talk about RAM and everything about RAM. And hopefully by the end of this, you'll have a better understanding of what it is you're looking for when you're purchasing RAM. But first, I need to get a little rocket fuel in me, so I hope you don't mind. Oh yeah. I'm kidding. But need a little pick me up. Building a new PC, or are you just looking for RAM but don't know which one to get? Just looking at RAM can get so confusing until you understand what those numbers associated with it are actually for. Want me to help you out?
I'll be honest, I don't think anyone knows what it means anymore. Scholars maintain that the translation was lost hundreds of years ago.
Just kidding. And you probably know what that's from. Sit back and relax. I'll break them down for you. Let's start with the basics. RAM stands for Random Access Memory. You could think of RAM like a highway, moving data or ones and zeros from your hard drive over to your CPU. The more RAM you have, the more information your CPU can have quick access to. There are two types of form factors of RAM: DIMM, which is dual inline memory module, or SODIMM, small outline DIMM. If you're building a desktop PC, it will be the full-size DIMM RAM. If you're replacing RAM on your laptop, then you would need to get the smaller form factor, SODIMM. Now that we have that out of the way, let's continue. What we talk about today will apply to both of those form factors. So kind of like these guys here, you're going to have a label on RAM, and when you see the postings and stuff online, it's also going to be in the description. But what does this stuff actually mean? C16, DDR4, 3600, CL16-19-19-39. There's so much on here that really doesn't kind of tell you what it's for. So at a quick glance, it's just like, what is all this stuff? But I'm going to break it down for you. Let's cover the first part. DDR followed by a number like DDR3 or DDR4. DDR is double data rate, and it has this name because two transfers happen per cycle. The number after DDR indicates the generation of the RAM, so DDR to DDR2 to DDR3 to the industry standard that is now DDR4. DDR4 came out in 2014, but wasn't widely used until 2016 and outsold DDR3 in 2017. And I say that because DDR5 is coming, but don't wait to purchase this, as it could take a while to be widely adopted, and surely will come at a premium. The bad news is none of these generations are interchangeable, so you do have to get the right one. Luckily, if you're building a new PC, at the time of this video, at least when it comes out, you can bet it's going to be DDR4. But if you have RAM laying around and you're wondering if it will work with your latest motherboard, well, either check the numbers printed on the RAM stick itself and make sure it matches your motherboard specs, or check the pins on the RAM and the socket on your motherboard. All the different generations of RAM have a notch cut out, and on purpose they're all placed in a slightly different spot so you can't mix them up. DDR3 will only fit with DDR3 motherboards and so on. Now looking at the example used DDR4 3600, let's focus on the second part of that, the clock speeds. DDR4 3600 operates at 3600 MTS, or commonly referred to as 3600 megahertz. Below this or to the side of this, you will see something like PC4 28800. PC4 is also related to the generation. PC4 goes with DDR4, PC3 goes with DDR3. The number after PC is to show the bandwidth in megabytes per second. So in this example, this RAM would run at 28,800 megabytes a second. I'm not going to dive into overclocking other than XMP, but this bandwidth is what would increase with overclocking. Next, let's look at timing and latency. You might see something like this. This is the RAM's timing measured in nanoseconds. The lower the numbers, the quicker the RAM reacts to requests. The first number, CL15, is the cast latency. This represents the number of clock cycles it takes for data requested by the memory controller to become available, so the lower the first number, the better. The last part I'm going to cover on RAM is capacity. This number is usually what is searched for over any of those other numbers we just talked about. But for enthusiasts trying to get the best system for their money, those numbers are also very important. How much RAM should you have? Well, most places will technically say you don't need that much to run Windows at least, but I hate that statement. If you want a good experience, I would avoid having only 4 gigabytes of RAM. I would make 8 gigabytes the bare minimum, and you can have that in either 2 4 gigabyte sticks or one single 8 gigabyte stick. And that's just for what I would consider light computer use. If you really want to use your computer often and you're someone who might have a lot of Chrome tabs or multiple programs open at once, I would actually bump that up to 16 gigabytes, which really isn't that expensive as long as RAM prices stay relatively the same. 16 gigabytes actually fits the needs of most users, but you will see systems with 32 gigabytes and beyond, depending on use case. Whenever someone is building a new computer and they're asking me what I think they should have, I am always going to say at least 16 gigabytes, but 8 gigabytes, in my opinion, is the bare minimum. And if you do get 8, get it in a single stick, because you can always add another stick later. When choosing RAM, make sure to check what the CPU you are choosing recommends, because between Team Blue and Team Red, there is different sweet spots for these. A good thing to note here, if you get DDR4 RAM that runs at high speeds, you might actually be bummed to find out that they're capped at 2133 megahertz. Here is where that XMP part comes in. If you purchase RAM rated for anything higher than 2133, like this is 3600, and I do recommend you get something higher than 2133, you'll need to jump on over to the BIOS and enable the XMP profile. This bypasses the base JEDEC spec set for DDR4 and overclocks the RAM to the rated speed that you purchased it at. The other thing to note, check your motherboard for where to place your RAM slots, or RAM sticks into what slots. Depends on your setup. You can have single channel memory or dual channel memory, and here is a diagram showing you where to place those RAM sticks, but I would say always refer to your motherboard manual for the best information. While there is a lot more that we can talk about, like overclocking, component quality, voltages, DRAM prices, and of course RGB. This stick does have RGB, but that is actually going to be it for today. I hope that this shed a little more light on what RAM is, what those numbers are. So really, to summarize it, when you're purchasing RAM, just make sure it's the generation that fits your CPU and motherboard. And then when you're getting, we'll use DDR4 as this example, find that sweet spot, which kind of is around 3200 megahertz, but I wanted to go a little bit higher, 3600 megahertz, and I wanted that just as extra headroom. But you do need to enable the XMP profile, or it will start out at the 2133 megahertz. And then that other number is when you're looking at the timings, that cast latency represented as a CL number, lower the better. So for these sticks, I apologize, a lot of them on Newegg and stuff were coming up at CL18. That's 18 cycles per request, and I was able to get this stick, which is CL16, and they do go lower, but the lower that CL number is, the more you are going to spend on that stick of RAM. And other than that, that's kind of the basics of RAM. That's what you're looking for. And like I said, between Team Red and Team Blue, there is different sweet spots. And I hope you learned something. If you like this video, go ahead and hit that like button. If you want to see more, smash that subscribe button. And I will see you guys in the next video.
3, 2,